Hi folks, in this video we're going to look at a recent purchase of mine. This is a Game Boy Advance. I got this off eBay. It is in absolutely perfect condition in terms of the box. There is very minimal damage to any of the corners. There's a little bit of the cardboard kicked up there, but otherwise this is a really nice and well preserved box, and it comes with all of the included documentation. However, there is only one thing wrong with this, and that is that the Game Boy itself doesn't turn on. So we're going to look at that today, and hopefully I can get it working. So I'll quickly just show you what I paid for it on eBay. So this is the listing. It just had 3 pictures, the Game Boy itself with a back and front picture, and the box. I paid £12.45 for this total, that's including delivery, and the item description just says Nintendo Game Boy Advance GBA purple, not working, but case and screen in good condition, box of instructions. And then he's got just something else telling about other listings that he has on his account. So yep, box is in perfect condition. The Game Boy itself is in absolutely flawless condition. There's not a single scratch on the screen. There's no marks that I've seen so far to the body of the Game Boy. So I'm just having a quick look all over now. This is pretty much in as perfect condition as you'll find. There's a tiny little bit of wear to the sticker on the back, but it really doesn't matter. So the listing says it doesn't work. It's not turning on, so I'll go grab some AA batteries and we'll test that out. Okay, so I've got 2 sets of batteries here just to test. These are some Duracell rechargeable batteries, and these are just some standard, it says heavy duty zinc Kodak batteries, whatever, AA. So let's pop these in and just see what happens. Initial looks in the battery compartment, I saw a little bit of corrosion, but not enough that it would immediately tell me that that's the reason why it isn't turning on. So nothing comes on for the power, and even if I flick it back and forward I get absolutely nothing. So just to make sure it's off, just make sure the batteries aren't the issue. Let's try the other ones that I have. Okay, and still nothing. Nothing flashes up on the power LED indicator, and even just rocking it back and forward just to see if it was dirty, nothing there either. So what we're going to do, take it apart and look inside and go from there. Okay, so got my mat that I am going to use to take this apart, got my iFixit kit, and we're going to start to disassemble the Game Boy Advance to have a little look inside to see if we can spot any issues that might be causing it not to turn on. So let's see what we need here. We need a tri-wing. So that should be all the screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There will be one in the battery compartment, but that's a Phillips. Yep. So just this one down here. Separate. So now we should be able to remove the back plate. Okay, so first impressions, there's a lot of bits of white stuff that's fallen off. Let's just zoom it out a little bit here. When I was taking it apart, maybe just dry plastic or dry residue or whatever. But from initial observation, it doesn't look like this has been opened at all. So there should be okay, so let's take that off. I can see here already. I'm going to try and zoom this in for you and get the best view on this. Here, there's corrosion all over this battery terminal. You can see it's blue, and it's kind of gone all very weird. So that is, oh, it's flaking off. So I'll take the all the pieces out, and what I'm going to do is, be careful with those bumpers. What I'm going to do is, it will need a complete clean. So I'm going to take the board out. I'm going to clean these shells just to, while I got it open, make sure everything's nice and clean inside. And there's another bit just fell out there, so there's some really bad corrosion gone on with this terminal here. Thankfully it's just one terminal, so if needs be, if we do need to replace it, it should only be that one single job. So I'm going to take the board out now. Again, uses a Phillips. Keep these screws separate so you know where they go. Okay, so make sure we disconnect the ribbon cable for the screen. And just set this to side for now. Obviously I've got the buttons. You can see here on this bit of foam padding, there's lots of the corrosion that's come off. So what I'll try and do is keep all the buttons intact and just like knock this off, try and clean it off. Okay, set that to the side, and now we're left with just the board itself. So let me just take these off. This one feels like it's stuck down, maybe the corrosion from the battery. Ooh, yeah, so it's got under the buttons as well there. So they're going to need cleaning. Sorry, I didn't quite get that. For the start and select button, the silicone membrane was stuck to the board, so I can see the corrosion has leaked quite far onto the board, even on the underside. So what I'm going to do is get some, I'll probably get the white vinegar first and start to try and get some of this corrosion gone, clean it up, and then I'll go through some continuity tests for this area of the board, and then finally just clean the whole board with some IPA rubbing alcohol, and then put it back together and go from there. Okay, so I've just got some distilled vinegar, a soft bristled toothbrush, and then just some cotton buds and a bit of tissue just to clean up after and make sure we haven't got excess liquid anywhere. So let's get some white vinegar. I'm just going to pour a bit into the cap, and then just dip the toothbrush in and go ahead and just start to clean and put it on the air corrosion. You can see then, I don't know if you saw it, let's zoom in on that, the vinegar reacted and fizzed with the contact of the corrosion. It's probably hard to see on the video, but I can see it perfectly here, which means it's working. So get some more of that and just brush it all over. Let's get a little bit of a close-up if I can. Okay, so the vinegar's doing its thing. I'm going to keep just agitating it around, trying to clean up all of the corrosion that's on this part of the board. some almost 100% purity, 99.9% purity isopropanol off Amazon. So just open this up, get a cotton bud, and then just swab it in the bottle there to soak up a little bit, and then just rub it all over the area where I had the vinegar. Okay, so it's been a bit of time now since using the IPA to try and clean up the rest of any vinegar that remains, any bits of corrosion that remains. There's still going to be a little bit, but hopefully I've got the thick of it off. And so what I'm going to do is just quickly put the console back together. Let me just make sure lids are on bottles here. I don't want any going flying. I'm going to put it back together and then do a quick just on-off test just to make sure that it's working. So what you need to do, actually, just checking up here. Looking for the membranes for the buttons. Where did I put the big one? Oh, it's still there, stayed on. I just need the A and B, which goes this way. Yep. And then got start and select, which I'm actually hoping you can see there. Actually, it's discoloured. That, so I'll give that a very quick rub down with some IPA. Confident these works. I've used them in a previous Game Boy. And let's just try. Let's see how this goes. Okay, nothing. Did we get a flash of power at all? A little bit there, did we see it? I know I saw it very briefly, I think. Just keep trying. The batteries were up. I might have to watch that back. I'm pretty sure I saw a flash. Okay. Anyway, so we'll go from here. Still no power. Obviously, I cleaned up all the contacts the best I could. From here, we'll have to do quite a bit of testing. Oh, that's the battery. Quite a bit of testing. And that's some really bright sun that's just come through the window, giving us this lovely harsh shadow. So I'm gonna have to go through. We'll do some testing, and I'll get back with the discovered fault that's preventing this from switching on. Okay, so after a bit of testing, a bit of checking continuity in parts of the board and testing this switch and the contacts, using this little battery pack with two wires, obviously a positive and a negative. It does run off AAA, but that's fine. It can power up the Game Boy Advance. I'm going to run through and show you now. I figured out that it's the switch that is the issue. So I'm just going to take these two wires. I've got the red, which would sit underneath the positive terminal. So I'm just going to lift it up slightly and then set it under so it's making contact. And then for the black, I'm just going to push it through one of the springs and then double it back, fold it back on itself, so it should hold a nice contact. And what I will do is, like so, just make sure, it's obviously a bit delicate to this point. There we go, the red's already fallen out, but what I'm going to try and do is get it to a point so I can show you. I've actually had this board, the one that obviously wouldn't turn on when we put it back together, you got to put the switch in a certain position and it will switch on. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and wiggle it back and forward, and then just keep an eye on this power here. You can see it popping in it. There we go. Almost. Got half of the boot there. Oh, there we go. I don't want to let go of it because I want it to fully boot, and then obviously there's no game because there's no back. But if I let go of that, I was holding that in place. So obviously power's getting from the battery terminals to the board, but it's been ever so slightly, I say slightly, it's been stopped by this switch. Now all I'm going to really do is take the circuit board back out, which is a Tri-Wing. No, it's not, it's a Phillips, my bad. I'm going to take it back out and I'm just going to pour quite a bit. Okay, so sorry for the slight difference in setup. I've got a different camera here because we're going to do some soldering. And obviously this is away from my main desk where I've got my soldering iron and a slightly different setup. So I'm going to take off the shield here for the switch, and then we can get access to inside the switch, which we could then clean a lot easier, and hopefully that will be the solution. Okay, now I'll do the other side. I'm just going to stick the pliers underneath it. Okay, so that side's fully detached. Now we're going to do this other side. There we go, right. So we've got the metal bracket off, and now turn my soldering iron off. Inside here, and it's going to be hard to see at this on this camera in this angle, but if I take this off, inside, I'm going to get a better close-up for you on this. There is so much corrosion in there that it's completely covering up all the contacts. So okay, so I've taken off the cover for the switch, and let's see if we can get a good angle on this. Look at that, that is completely and utterly corroded inside there. So I'm going to go ahead with not only the vinegar but also obviously the IPA at the end. So just after a quick brief attempt, you can see we've cleaned up obviously the where it would be off on that pad, but towards the on state it's still got some issues. Okay, this might be obviously quite a harsh light, but it should provide a lot more. There you go, you can see on this left side here it's still got heavy corrosion on the metal itself. So what we'll probably do is I'll get I don't want that. Probably get maybe a knife just so it's got that pointed edge, and I can just help to scrape off some of the corrosion there. And then while that evaporates up, I can give the switch itself. So this is obviously the head that makes the contact here. Now this is really small and I don't have a macro lens. That's just about as close as I'm going to get and have it in focus. You can see there's some corrosion on that there, so whatever's left on the toothbrush, I've got a little bit left in the shell, in the lid of the vinegar. I'm going to go ahead and give that a complete clean, because whilst the contacts on the board are now cleaned, you've got to have clean contacts on the switch to complete that circuit. So Give that a right good scrub with the toothbrush. Okay, so got the switch back on. I've got the bracket that holds it in place on, and I think it acts as a ground as well. Let's just zoom in on this. So it's looking promising. So all I'm going to do now is put it back together, and hopefully we get a working switch. Slot that in, put the back on. Okay, let's just give it. And finally, let's slot in some, I know these work, so working batteries. And this is the moment of truth, so let's go ahead, and it's currently in the opposition. Let's switch it on. And it boots up first time. Absolutely amazing. So pleased with that. Let's just give it another try. So switch it off, back on, stays on. Now I could put a quick game in just to test. In fact, you know what? Let's just put a game in and test. Let's grab a game. We'll go with my recently restored Pokemon Crystal. Again, corrosion damage prevented that from working. Let's go ahead and boot it up. Amazing. Now I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit. In fact, well, yep, sound works fine. Let's go ahead and try the buttons. So A works, B works. Let's try start. Start works. Select. Now I don't think select works in this menu option. I'm going to keep giving it a press just to see. Pretty sure it doesn't. So I'll click on continue. Let's boot the game up. Let's see if select works. An item in your pack may be registered for use on the select button. Absolutely amazing. Left, right, up and down. They work. Now obviously I haven't got the bumpers in, but I can press them from here. So left bumper doesn't seem to do anything. I think left bumper puts it in the widescreen mode and right bumper should put it back. Perfect. So I'm going to turn this off now and put the whole thing back together. Switch it on. And there we go. I'll turn the sound up again. Let's make sure the sound's working, which I know it will be. Yeah. Perfect. So now I've got the best condition Game Boy Advance that I own in my collection with an absolutely mint perfect box. So thanks for watching.